Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. May peace be on all. Today I'll again be starting with my lecture on National Eligibility Test in Mass Communication and Journalism. Especially today I'll be talking about that. I recently, during these days, I was checking some previous question papers, and I saw, as I had recently told, what kind of questions, what type of questions are coming in the NET exam of Mass Communication and Journalism. I was going through some of the previous papers, and I found out that which I had already told, and some new points which I'm going to tell you. So keep in mind before going for this NET exam in subject of Mass Communication and Journalism. So I saw the basic concepts should be clear. Your basic concepts in the subject of mass communication should be clear, because there were a lot of questions on models, there were a lot of questions on theories, even including those normative theories, media and society theories. And for example, there were questions on who had proposed them, who had given those theories, who had given those models, what's the basic crux of that theory, what's the basic message in that model. So these all concepts should be clear, your basics should be clear, which I had already told you. And also keep in mind that the relation of media vis-a-vis international relations, vis-a-vis media and political relations, vis-a-vis media and society relations, vis-a-vis media and health. Keep in mind this very link, media and health relation. For example, presently we are in the time when there is that COVID crisis all around. So keep in mind the different aspects of this COVID, the different aspects of the information which are being provided to you by the media, be it private, be it government. Keep in mind all that information. Maybe there may be many questions regarding media vis-a-vis health, especially when we talk of COVID. And for example, media and geography relation, media and environment relation, what are the new rules in environment, what is going on in the environment nowadays, how is media portraying it, media and pollution related things, and media and sports related things. Also information, as this can also help you in the current affairs, the paper first as well. Also keep in mind, for example, media and finance, what are the different things happening in the financial sector of the country, especially be it globally. Also keep in mind the global aspect also, as well as the national aspect also of all these relations within media, as well as keep a good hold on the basic general current affairs. Obviously these all current affairs is directly related to the media. You'll find all those news and information in the media as well. Also there were questions on international relations. For example, you should be clear, because we read international relations as one of the subjects in mass communication and journalism. I think we had it in our third semester when I was doing PG. It was a full-fledged subject in our third sem, international relations. For example, there were some concepts and definitions. There were questions on what is a big power, what is a hegemon, what are middle powers, what are dependencies, what is unipolar world, what's bipolar world, what is first world, what is second world, what is third world, does second world exist. There were also questions regarding to these concepts. And actually there were some another questions. For example, also keep in mind that there were questions on the different commissions, historical commissions vis-a-vis media, as well as current commissions, current councils vis-a-vis media. And for example, there were some questions on writing, print media especially. For example, what is pyramid style, what is inverted pyramid style, news writing, feature writing. For example, what is a lead, what is a body, what is intro, what is tail, what is the difference between all these. So keep in mind all those concepts, be clear of all these concepts. You should not, what we say, that you should not jumble all these concepts, that you will see that intro and body are related. Keep in mind what intro is, what body is, what tail is. And for example, when I told you what pyramid style is, what inverted pyramid style is, it should be clear in your concept, because there are many times there are questions which are tricky questions. For example, you will think that it is asking about pyramid style, but actually it's asking you about that inverted pyramid style of news writing. and what is the difference between feature writing and news writing. And for example, it can be asked that, for example, what kind of writing is been done in, there will be four options. What kind of writing is there in magazines, there will be four options: feature writing, news writing, editorial writing, opinion writing. You have to ask that it is a feature writing kind of a thing which happens in magazines. So also there were some, as I told you, that there were some current affair type of questions regarding business and news and finance vis-a-vis current affairs, especially in the country. Also, there were some basic concepts of journalism. For example, what is yellow journalism, what is personality journalism, what is development journalism, what is political journalism, what is celebrity journalism, what is sensationalism. So keep all those things in mind. What is propaganda? These were some of the concepts which were there in the previous question papers. Also, there were questions regarding history of Indian journalism, history of print journalism in India. There were some questions regarding that to keep in mind. Also, yes, also I also want to add that never take photojournalism or photography lightly. There were, I saw in the question papers, that there were, I think, 4 or 5 questions that were directly related to photography, photojournalism. For example, some basic terms of photojournalism. There were some basic concepts of working of a DSLR camera. You have to keep in mind all those basic concepts. For example, what is a mirror camera? How is a mirror camera different from a mirrorless camera? Keep all those differences, keep all those concepts clear in your mind. And differences between documentaries and docudramas. Also, there were assertion questions, but these assertion questions were also related to your basic concepts. Once your basic concepts are clear, you can easily get through these assertion questions also. There were questions on different kinds of societies regarding public relations in India. For example, there is a Public Relations Society of India, there is a press council. There were questions regarding that. For example, it might be a question that how many members are there in the press council, what is Public Relations Society of India, where is its headquarters. Also, there were questions on AFP. It's the Agence France Presse, it's a news agency which is based in France. So there were questions on which news media, which news organization or which newspaper is based in which country. So do keep in mind the important news agencies, the important news papers, as well as the important news organizations or news agencies vis-a-vis current scenario. For example, if there have been some important news related to some important news organization or news agency these days, to keep in mind, they might ask you. For example, keep in mind that, for example, New York Times, everyone knows that it is in USA. I'm not saying that such a simple question will come there, but there can come a question where we ask a name of a newspaper will be given, and it may be asked that in which country it is based, or who is the chief editor or owner of this newspaper. So do keep in mind those questions also, especially keep in mind of US, Europe, Russia, as well as just South Asia. Also, there were, as I had already in my previous lecture told you regarding that communication research, I saw many questions on communication research. There were questions regarding what is scientific research, how it is different from other types of researches, what is communication research basic, and there 4 options were given. What is sampling in research, what is content analysis in research, what is qualitative research, what is quantitative research. These were 5-6 questions which I saw which were related to this communication research. And one more pattern as well in these question papers, that for example, if there are research questions, for example, it starts with 51 question is communication research question. The next 4 or 5 questions will be related to the communication research. So this was also a pattern. Also, there were questions on regarding development communication. Regarding, for example, there was a KHEDA rural TV project which is related to development communication. And also do keep in mind, for example, the various criminal offences vis-a-vis media in your country and in India, and what are the important news organizations, newspapers, news agencies in India, as well as do keep in mind the government media, the Ministry of I&B, what are the different departments of Ministry of I&B. For example, recently there were 3 departments, DAVP, DFP and Song and Drama Division. These 3 have been merged into one department that is known as Bureau of Outreach Communication in headquarters, as well as in the states, in the regions, it's known as Regional Outreach Bureau. So do keep in mind all this information when this amalgamation, when these 3 departments were merged into one department. Keep the date in mind. So I think this happened, I think in 2018 or 18, I think this happened. So do keep all those things in mind when what happened. And also there were questions on public relations. What is public relations? What are the different aspects of public relations? There were questions on Public Relations Society of India. Also there were questions on the chronology. For example, when was Press Council of India established? Was Press Council of India established before Public Relations Society of India? Questions on chronology especially. And there were also questions on statements. For example, medium is a message. Who has said this? For example, there was one question. Medium is the message, I already told you. This was a question I directly took out from this 2018 paper, and you have to answer who is the one who has said this statement. Also, with regard to advertising, I saw there were questions, but most of the advertising questions were related to national laws and ethics of advertising. Do go through the advertising policy of India to check that out. What are the basic points in the advertising policy of India, and what are the different laws and ethics regarding to advertising. And also there were some questions on the designing of newspapers. There is one unit, I think, graphic designing in newspapers. There were some questions on the designing of the newspapers. So basically, all in all, you have to have that what we read in our print media, our print journalism, about the 5 W's and 1 H. You have that what, where, when, why, who and how. So you have to keep these 6 things in mind regarding the clear your basics of communication, your mass communication subject. If your basics are clear, you're definitely going to score nicely and clear the NET exam. So this was another video on the basics, especially on the questions vis-a-vis the subject of mass communication and journalism, which are regularly coming in this national eligibility test exam. So next I will be starting with communication research, about the history of communication research, what are the different types of communication research, for example, scientific research, historical research, how it is done. Next, thank you. Assalamu alaikum.